going to play, and that may help. But when you don't know what they're going to do and they don't know what they're going to do, maybe the maps can give you an idea of what the strategies is you've got to employ to counter it, because it seems like an impossible task to defeat.
Yeah, I had an educated guess for the map bans, and
yes,
it was that G2 would ban Consulate and Oregon and would pick Coastline, while Millenium would ban Bank and Clubhouse and pick Border, and the decider would be Villa. So.
Close enough.
Well, yeah, so for a bit of context, Wilkie already made a big statement and put a big wager on the line in that he's going to correctly guess 10 out of the 12 maps being played here today. So far, he's now already
2 out of 3.
Wrong in one sense, but yes, 2 out of 3 for this game. So you can only get one more mistake through the rest of the day. It's not a, not a lot at stake there, but we are going to be, as you say, seeing Villa, Clubhouse, and Border, of which Millenium are going to start out attack on Villa and G2 are going to start out attack on Clubhouse. I want to talk about Villa a bit more because that's where we saw G2 get dominated in their group stage games. Alex, why did they get dominated so hard there?
I mean, most of the time when they play a map like that and they lose so big, they come back and dominate the team afterwards. So I assume they fixed their issues and they're going to counter-strat the heck out of that.
All right, well, thank you two for giving us your insight on that. We're going to head over to Emzo and Milos, who are going to take us this first game from start to finish. Guys, take it away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. We are in fantastically beautiful Paris, and we're getting ready for our matchup. And what a first game in the quarterfinals it is. I'm Sam Milos from Medic Finch. With me, the ever so fabulous and sparkling Devin Emzo Becker. And this is shaping up pretty darn well. After the group stage, we get the G2 Millenium. It's an all-out EU clash.
I know, we can't even start off on like an easy warm-up match. It's just straight to what could be one of the top finalists here. And as you said, EU, and this is one of France's first chances, I'd say, to try and get there. But of course, they've got to get through G2 to get there. Not going to be easy.
Yeah, and of course, Millenium have proven themselves quite well. But let's get this show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, Millenium versus G2 Esports. Our best of 3 series goes to sunny Tuscany on Villa.
All right, well, ban phase is coming out first. Should be interesting here to see how this goes on Villa, because as was mentioned earlier, G2 did play it. They showed a little bit of what they want to do on this map. Didn't work out super great for them. Lion Mirror has been a pretty typical ban for them, so no surprise to see here. Last time it was Ashmere, but that was, of course, because Mocket being such a big fan of Ash with Alive, so this makes a lot of sense. I imagine their last ban might just be Mirror, but Dokkaebi is something Millennium's been banning a lot.
And this makes a lot of sense. This is something that tailors so well to Millennium's playstyle, where, for example, if they defend in Aviator, defend in the game room, they will usually play around the bedroom astronomy area. And this Dokkaebi is sometimes too difficult for them to deal with. They just ban it out. Mira, this is EU play. Mira, unfortunately, is always banned.
Yeah.
And
this gives G2 an opportunity to ban something else, though, because they've been banning mostly, like I said, Lion Mirror. So now they can maybe go for an Echo or Maestro. Maestro very likely, as that seems to be their secondary.
A Pulse is a possibility as well. Maybe taking out one of the roamers.
Oh, all right.
Valkyrie. So a lot of the roam play that Millenium requires, that the fact that the Dokkaebi has been removed, is having information. And what is better than just straight up knowing where everybody is? Well, next best thing, you got a Valkyrie. You can set up your cams wherever you want. So we'll see how this plays out between the two. Let's remind you, Lion, Dokkaebi, Mira, and Valkyrie removed here. We head to our reveal phase. If you haven't watched Pro League or professional play in a while, or ever since 6 Invitational or even Atlantic City, we have a bit of a change here in the operator bans. You have the addition of the 6th pick and the reveal phases, and Jonas will go for the Pulse. Not surprising at all. Now, this specific type of play, see-through play from underneath, is something that played heavily against Millenium in Pro League. We'll see how this shapes up as G2 will go for the kitchen and diner for Site 1.
Should be interesting, too, to see with both the Echo and the Maestro play, but no smoke that'll do any kind of delay. I think they're just going to rely on Echo as well as with Evil Eyes. Evil Eye placement definitely going to matter in this map, because as you start to lose people, you're probably going to have a few off-site getting any kind of intel on where they're positioning themselves, along with the Valkyrie that obviously is not going to be in play here. Means you got to work with that pulse heartbeat sensor to get that information. They are playing downstairs, which means you're not going to be the pulse from below on this particular site unless they want to go all the way down to the basement, which would be an interesting play. He is playing, potentially to go down to the pantry. But he's actually going to seal that up, meaning no rotation out of the pantry at the moment. That should be interesting.
Yeah, interesting part is that Millenium are only bringing the one heart reacher. As a remind you, no thermite ban, no Hibana ban. It allows Millenium to play both of them. However, here they'll only be going for one. Now, a lot of soft destruction with Falco as well on the sledge. So usually when you're attacking the kitchen, what you'll do is take control of the bedroom. You're going to hear me repeating this over and over and over this match. Bedroom, master bedroom is an extremely important part of this site attack and many others, because in Siege, of course, you blow up the floorboards. You can use those angles to your advantage to peek against your opponents that are playing downstairs on the site, to maybe use information extra to pick them off one by one as they're forced outside of the room itself.
Now, of course, Renshiro going to be on Blackbeard, something he does a lot, but he's actually going to be trying to get some intel and get pushed into there. But they have reinforcements though, and they actually might have slowed someone down enough here to C4. Eunice with the miss, so close. That metal beam right there just did not work. He's still going to go for the shot though.
Oh, space to the side somehow. How is Rise still alive in this?
How is he not shooting back as well?
Renshiro has at least gone into the bathroom as the first kill of the playoffs of the major here is taken by Livin, and that's the Maestro. Fate falling to the early shots. Now, Living Room is not usually a site that or a position within this site defense you'll see being taken control of by most teams. But Livin at least clearing up, making sure there's no roamers that can pounce behind them and make sure to shut down the attackers. And there you go. Gogo will find the angle on Higgs as Millenium got a bit aggressive here to push in, maybe go for an opportunity for a plant. And the diffuser is right in front of them on Laundry.
That's the only heart breaker down now, which you might not use it necessarily for accessibility to walk, but you're going to want to open up a lot of angles. You see how many reinforcements that G2 has set up to make sure that they can guard as many angles as possible. It's going to be important.
And speaking of guarding, Jonas right now is just using his pulse to scan around Laundry and the master bedroom to try and get information on his opponent. Unfortunately for him, there's no C4s left available for his team. Diffuser's already dropped, and Jonas should be able to spot. There we go. The Blackbeard comes in as Kenta Raketti will nail one as well. Livin will fall, and that's the flank now covered by G2. Yuna still sending information to his teammates. The diffuser's finally been picked up. Bangu's playing from the kitchen. He can't find the angle, but Falco coming in from behind. Rise with one as well. Now let's see advantage for Millenium. Kenta Raketti facing off against Renshiro. We'll get one. Turns around and turn into 1v1. Falco with so little health. Kapushin and Bangu will clutch out the round against his old teammate, Falco.
Always fun to see Falco, formerly on as a 6th player on this team, definitely knows a bit about their mentality, but they, as it was mentioned earlier on the analyst desk, they've changed around things quite a bit since those days. That was a series of good plays, I'd say, for both teams in terms of good communication. You saw the way they were playing the Pulse definitely seemed to be a big factor in them being able to pre-fire and guard the bomb site effectively. He couldn't always ping them the way he wanted to, but you saw pings coming out there from camps as well. I got to imagine those were possibly from the Evil Eyes, getting some good intel in there. But now they're going to go upstairs. Will they bring in that 6th big Pulse again to play from downstairs? Or are they going to play it similar? Yep, Eunice is going to bring that out again for Aviator Games. A very good site upstairs. I imagine reinforcement is going to be a key part of this as well. And potentially some impact nades to try and deny it. They're not bringing the thermite though. It's the case of Hibana again, but still, depending on how they play those impact nades, could be a factor.
All right. This is the thing though. With Villa, especially, it is a fairly defensively sited map. And for me at least, Kitchen Diamond is one of the weaker sites for the defenders compared to the game room, for example, even Trophy. So the early start for your defenders is always really good, but the attackers are looking, for 2, 3 rounds. If they get 3 rounds, go right. 2 is already something that you can work with, but you can't give the defenders too much of an advantage because you play 5 rounds on attack, 5 rounds on defense. And this is one of the most interesting parts that's happening. So if you guys haven't watched, first of all, I highly recommend that. Number 2, a lot of teams, what they've been doing is bringing a thermite and putting the thermite charge on the floor to blow up half of the wall that's next to it, instead of putting it directly on the reinforced wall when you can chuck up an impact nade and blow up the thermite gadget. And we'll be seeing that 100% throughout the playoffs here, to have an example. But because you put it on the floor, it blows up the wall, so what do you do as a defender? If you destroy the entire floorboard, it denies the attackers from putting down that thermite charge. And there you go. Kill number 1 for Renshiro.
Ooh, that's the impact nades off the board. That's an important kill early on for exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, well, best thing here for Millenium is that they're bringing the Habana, so they can use it to open up holes to shoot the feet or ankles of the defenders. And just looking for the angles. Cantor goes up, can't finish off Hicks. Would have been a great shot here if he had taken out the only hard breacher that Millenium are bringing in this round.
They might consider going with double heart breachers, considering they lost Habana early last time as well, and almost a second time. This is getting a little bit of aggressive from Eunice on this pulse, playing very close to where a lot of the attackers are coming from, but he's been able to play very smart, not dying early whatsoever. His C4 burst didn't work last round, but the fact that he's able to stay alive, despite how well we know Millenium drone, is very good play from him.
Now, Rai is still in trophy room as he has spotted that there's Yokai from Goga. He's gotten a bit of disorientation from that. In the meantime, Kantaraketi setting himself up in the study. You still need a hold on the balcony. Not only do you go from the master bedroom and try to push in from there, from the opposite side, but you also need some sort of hold to make sure that the defenders are always pinched. They're always not allowed to play from downstairs, use their C4s, and speaking of which, Pulse is playing downstairs, trying to find an opener for his team, because now for the second round, G2 lose out the first player. Now Hicks is alive, he'll be coming out with the X-Kairos, and should be able to open up that vault wall to support his teammate.
It's definitely going to be the big thing here, is trying to make sure that they can get at least some wall open before he dies. But Goga denying. Nice job, and that is another important attacker, I'd say, over Chiro and Blackbeard.
Blackbeard has been down. Hicks as well, though. Refragging to keep the advantage for Millenium. We talk about this so much. The refrag, though, from Kantaraketi for a 3v3. Now a 3v2. Skoga peeks in. Fabian with one more. And they spot the last. Hicks, who had survived the early onslaught, is all on his own in the main stairs. He's making noise, and Kantaraketi comes into his own. Finds the headshot on Hicks, and G2 put a very convincing round 2 on the board.
And that is exactly why you see Kanto on that Jaeger. He is very good at those fast, fluid peaks. When he has the intel, I mean, Eunice was dead by that point, but he had more than enough intel on where all the attackers were coming from. You saw it as well with his spawn peak. Just his ability to make those moves very quickly and with confidence in his shots is exactly why Penta picked him up. That confidence pays off so much when you have the intel as a defender, especially because you can just make those moves, and you saw him time and time again able to execute on them. But now we're going to see Library, a site we actually don't see very often. So this should be especially interesting that they did not go with the Trophy Statue as their third choice.
Now, one of the more support parts in pushing living room, and this time I will spoil it for you, it is not bedroom. So this is the only time where I won't talk about it, but it is the small bathroom right by the living room. You have a few ways of defending it. You either completely reinforce it and pretty much leave the attackers to take it, or you open up the walls or leave them soft so you can contest players on the other side. Now, because Mira is banned, you don't have the luxury of attacking with Mira windows to hold off in the living room and in the bathroom, as well as you have a couple angles to use to your advantage in it. But that A site is extremely important. By B, it gets a bit complicated with the doors and everything that is around it, where defenders can just play from behind and compete against their opponents when need be, just like we saw Goga doing in the vault door.
10 seconds left.
Interesting this time, though, Eunice deciding to 6-pick a Legion instead of a Pulse. And Kanto going to go for another roam operator. I think with what he's done so far on Jaeger, I expect good things from him on Vigil as well. Because we know a lot of the droning comes out from Millennium, but you cannot drone Vigil the same way. That combined with the mutes coming out from Pengu is going to mean it's going to be very difficult for Millennium to get the intel they need. They're going to have to play smart, but also aggressive at the same time. They have ability to at least spot some gadgets, which is definitely going to help, because that might also be the counter to Kanto here, because if they could track him while he's, I mean, they're going to know when he's activated because they're going to see it on the drones, call for Liven to look for that. If he's playing it smart, that's going to be the reverse pulse here, essentially just on him.
Now, the Renshiro main move is to always come in and hold the rotation angles of his opponent. So the hallway is important for him to control of. You see him opening up the wall on the
Attackers
side by
recovered
the piano room, so he can get back to his advantage. Pengu though playing in the library in the meantime, as Renshiro is making sure that his teammates do not get by the front door here, at least the entryway. Pengu is still in the back, and Millenium are trying to corner him so far. Able to squirm around and stay alive.
He does have a C4. You hear him opening it up, ripping it, throwing it. Fortunately, it doesn't land on anything. Might have cleared out some of the barbed wire for them. So he's got to be careful there. Renshiro, though, it does take a lot of damage. That's the important thing, especially if he lost the shield. But Kanto's flank fails to work.
Not able to get the second one there, as Jonas will at least take down Rise. And that's the Sophia eliminated. It's a lot of equipment as well, especially the fact that G2 are not bringing a Jaeger in this attack. Now, Fabian will get picked up to 50% health. So Maestro is down on the floor. Advantage for G2 here. Both Renshiro and Fabian are tacked down pretty low.
Yeah, Fabian's still going to be there to control those equalizers as well as the Yokai. But there we go, the play by Goga!
Again, can he find the third one though? As they enter, no, it'll be Falco to take it. There you go, the push in from the bathroom. Renshiro though, from the main door. He'll find one angle on the floor, can't find the angle on his opponents as they come in. He'll down in the back, that's Falco on the floor. Renshiro low on health. Goga will go for back here for the impact. Pengu coming in for the last two to clean things up. And G2, the third round, Devin, every single round has been a clawback.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like we're not just getting like one trade back sometimes from G2. We're getting 2 or 3 plays. It's just, they seem to, every time they get killed, they're communicating where they died from and what to do about it. And they seem to be on top of what's going on there. And there's the thing with pro players, you really have to learn how to mentally track all of the plays going on from the opponents, because you're not always going to have drones. You gotta know who is where, and they're absolutely doing that.
Yeah, and the one thing to remind you, we've already said a couple rounds ago, but this is Villa. It is a map that is fairly defensively favored, but even with that, Millenium are able to get onto sites. Unfortunately, it's complicated for them to set a plant down. Usually when an attacking team is able to get a plant down on Villa, they're able to much more efficiently defend it and take the round after it. But they need to get to that level, and that's where the plays on Villa attackers get a bit complicated. Here, we'll have to go to hit another site. He's done a bit of a tour of Villa. We'll go all the way up to Trophy and Statue.
Well, as Will was saying earlier, they really don't like to do the same thing twice. And with 4 viable bomb sites in here, they're going to go through all. Obviously, Library seemed to be the biggest struggle that they had on those, but that being one of the weaker bomb sites, it is amazing that they managed to win all 3 and continue over to a 4th one that is fairly strong, so there is a good chance they could pull this off. But of course, going to a more conventional site also means Millenium is a little more prepared to attack it than they were on Library, so they may have a good setup for this. They have made one change in that they're bringing Falco now on Buck, which is a good idea to be able to play from below with those wood floors the way they are, and the ability to potentially even grenade from that skylight sort of opening between the 2 sides.
Now, when this is something that you'll see a bit familiar now, what happened is that when G2 were defending Aviator, Millenium came in from the bedroom. Now that G2 are defending near the bedroom in Trophy, Millenium will be coming in from the opposite side from the study. Renshiro, regardless, will still hold on to that hallway window. It is a big rotational position, and they want to make sure that Kanto Raketti, anybody playing next to him, is still stuck on the side. Kanto will get the second one here as Pengu will find the first on Rise, and huge advantage early on for G2. Millenium unable to find the opener, but I say that Renshiro, 1 on 2. Pengu, G2 still with 4 players alive versus the 3 of Millenium. And right now, Millenium, they're just holding angles and making sure they don't get down. They need to find some extra opener. Can't be too careful.
Big problem now is because of those roam plays from Pengu and Kanto, they've been denied map control. They don't even have control of the study, which in theory is one of the easiest rooms to get into right now, because they've been completely denied so much so far. Time is going to get burned as they're forced to drone and have some of their dead teammates watch those drones so they can even get entry and finally get Falco into this. And it's not even close to the site yet.
Now, an important part of this defense as well is Jonas on the pulse. Now, one thing I'm not sure of is if he was playing closer to his teammates in the study, supporting them early on in the round. But at least here, we know that he'll be scanning around from the dining room, spotting the players that are up above him in the bedroom, at least outside of it. Renshiro has already gotten into the walk-in closet as Jonas trying to find it, and Falco will go down. Yet again, the buck being lost as could not use his skeleton key to open up for floors from below. C4 from Jonas Wilson. That gets it. Well, what? Renshiro, the mountain goes down as Hicks again all on his own with the Habana. Open up an angle that might not be too much of a help for him as he faces the onslaught of the 4 remaining players of G2. Jonas, in the meantime, rotating up to help out his teammates. Fabian already opening things up as Hicks gets the kill on Kanto. But is this enough for him? There's already ADSs that are preset by Kanto early on in the round to help out the defenders. Hicks chucking his last flashbang. Jonas holding the angle as well from the opposite end in the bathroom. Hicks jumps in to find the shot on Fabian, but it's too little, too late. The bathroom, gets the final kill to bearing 9, and that is it for now, at least. G2, huge lead at 4-0. Millenium need to claw at least one round here because you don't want to go to the second half knowing that your opponents have a 5-0 advantage and all they need is one round. This is it's a stark comparison when they played
to go
against
from a
Rocket.
0-6 to a potential 6-0, that's a bit of a change. A little bit of a sweep, a reverse sweep in this case, but Millenium, I don't think, are going to be too tilted. So once we see the round, the switch sides, I think we could see a little bit of a reversal. But as you said, going in with a 5-0, a reversal doesn't matter too much because you're on that point that entire time. And that is a tough place to be. Not that we aren't seeing some of Millenium show up. You see some scores there. They are managing to get some kills. It's just they cannot manage to finish the last player of G2 each time.
And that's the last round. The very proactive plays from G2 were too much for Millenium to handle early on. And unfortunately, getting one kill off the rotation doesn't work if you can't push your teammates out of their normal rotation positions. If you're going to play an Aviator, you're going to play a Study, there's nothing to pressure you from the outside, then you're just going to stay there. The Blackbeard holding the angle in the hallway, that's not going to help you at all. It limits you. You waste so much time trying to play out the strategy in that way that your opponents are just able to move around free.
I think there was a good indicator last time of how good the communication was on Penta. When you saw the Eunice playing downstairs his pulse, and he absolutely read into the fact that Buck was going to come there. Sorry, G2. Still old habit, right? But winning is definitely an old habit. They still are keeping around, though, that's for sure, the way things are going. But it's just the fact that he was able to turn around and catch Buck Falco as he was approaching without seeing him even on his heartbeat sensor. The comms are top-notch here, and Millenium really need to win around, kind of maybe tilt a little bit to get those comms maybe working a bit better for their side.
Yeah, not only that Millenium not only needs to win the round, but they also need to win it very convincingly. It helps them out there. This is a talk I was having with Siskat, our ex-French professional player over on the French casting desk, and he's telling us, French players are mostly, warm-blooded. They're people that are extremely emotional. They need to find the emotion in their plays. Once they can, once the round chain escapes them, they start to feel it, and it really does not help their cause. Now, Kanto dancing around the black hole. He'll actually take down the shield. Renshiro will have to watch out for any right out. This Goga gets #1 on Living, no more IQ.
Well, they're definitely in a tough spot here as time burns down. It's a minute 30 left, and they've lost one of their important, well, I was going to say operators to spot the yokai, but one yokai is spotted, and now that means it's going to rely on the other one. But they still have more than enough utility to deny for quite a while here.
Now, this yokai that is usually set up here by Goga, it is just that. It's usually set up here, so it's fairly easy to predict the position. Renshiro is trying to play against Kanto Raketti. As Kanto somehow, he drops to the floor and gets one. And yet another for Goga. We talk about Goga being this excellent support player, but he can do it all. Pengu will fall down though. 2v4 advantage still for G2 as Millenium gets one. Falco with the turnaround. 180s into Fabian. Damage has been done to him. Kanto Raketti is still alive, but there's no time for G2 to reset him. There's a lot of pressure being put on them. Falco rotating in from the living room and the library to try to come in from the main stairs. They realize there's a pulse, and here we go. Jonas will go down 2v2. Millenium having an equal amount of health in the pool against G2. Hicks setting up for the push with 20 seconds left on the clock. French team usually get into this bubble mindset. They're able to use every second to their advantage. Millenium now faking in to push from the opposite edge, but Goga's ready. The bearing 9 in hand, he goes in for one, he finds the two, Goga takes them down! And G2 will take round number 5 at a 5-0.
Unfortunately, as powerful as Goga is, their biggest enemy right there was time, and absolutely great read by Goga, playing exactly that for a perfect 5-0 so far. This is a tough comeback. This is a map where you got to have been feeling confident as Millenium, like seeing their performance last time. Hey, they've got some weaknesses on it. We can take them on it. We've got good strats, but it is just not happening at all for Millenium. I feel like they are playing. It's not G2 just dominating. Millenium are playing very, very well. It's just they're losing so many gunfights. They're losing map control early. The aggression from players like Kanto is absolutely working.
Yeah, and how do you deal with Kanto if you can't flush him out for Renshiro to get the pick off of him? It is, to say the least, a very predictable way that Millenium play things out, especially with Renshiro on the squad. But of course, you see we have a tactical pause. Millenium have called it. Remind you of the tactical pause rules, as coaches and players are able to call one 60-second tactical pause per map and per team. Now, both teams can talk during that tactical pause, so relaying information between the players themselves and the coach definitely does help. Being able to talk to your coach where he has the bird's eye view, realizing what's happening from the outside, he'll try to pull the players back and make sure that Millenium have something to show in this first map, because right now it's looking pretty bleak.
Yeah, this is definitely the time to be calling that timeout. In this case, though, I can only imagine Chaz on G2 just being like, just keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Yeah.
It's a short talk.
I'm pretty sure that's what he does most of the time. It's the easiest job in the world.
Yeah. Well, we have an interesting 6-pick here. Fabian's going to be bringing out that Glad. When we talked before some earlier matches in group stages, when Eunice is struggling with that Glad, they finally made the switch over to having Fabian play it instead, and it actually works fantastically. Didn't get, he wasn't just destroying the other team, but he was getting more kills, staying alive a bit longer. And Eunice on Zuki was just destroying people. It was a very good role for him. So they're just going to be playing off the strength they learned during those group stages.
Now, this is what I like. Even though Millenium don't have access to Valkyrie, G2 are worrying about potential roam. And indeed, they are correct. Livin has pulled out the Vigil. Now, roaming is much more of a mindset than operator-based, but to say the least, this is an operator that helps you out quite a bit in the roam game. And Pengu bringing the Jackal to counter any potential plays such as that helps out a lot. Now, not only that, but also taking control of the master bedroom. You have an ITA 12S on the secondary for the Jackal. You can use that as a shotgun to open up the floorboards from the master bedroom and have angles on your opponents. And let me tell you something, it works really, really well.
Yeah, I think between the Jackal and IQ, if Livin could get any kills, that's people just not doing their job at that point.
Kanto, Raketti, and Goga coming into the library. A very important part of any offensive push is to always have your fragger in first, but what is ahead of them, Kevin? A ton of drugs.
That's exactly what you want to do. You want to know what's on the other side of that.
Oh!
But Kanto!
Woo!
Oh
my God, what was that? I don't think that's even allowed on TV. Falco going down as Rise will replace his fallen teammate in the back. After Raketti keeping up yet again as Goga gets one hit with a refrag on a Pengu. A lot of damage done to Goga. The advantage for G2 and the Jackal is lost.
I don't think they're even going to bother with reset. They just mostly need to watch their fire at this point, the way they're stacking up. But the way they're hitting those shots, I wouldn't even worry about that much health at that point, because Kanto's also still full health. And there goes Eunice with a kill as well.
What is going on? Millenium falling apart at the seams, but Livin trying to bring it back. And the Wine Cellar get a kill on Jonas. Take him out. They find the angle, though, on Renshiro in the back. Can't finish him off. Try to peek with the ACOG on the LMG, but he downs Fabian, and Renshiro sprays in to take him out. 2v2 potential here for Millenium. Equal amounts of health between the two teams. User's been planted as Renshiro coming in from the kitchen. He can't spot the rotation from the attackers, as unfortunately there was smoke that was preset by G2. Now, Livin in the Skylight hallway. Kanto, Raketti with one more, all up to the IGL. Livin as the barbed wire plays against him. He's got one impact nade to use if he wants to. Claymore's been taken down. Doesn't have the information on Kanto, Raketti's position. There you go. They know exactly where he's at as they try to phase through the wall. FN57 in hand, and Kanto, Raketti cleans it up with a headshot. Map number 1. A 6 0 for G2. And you know what? I think they were hiding a thing or two here when they were playing against Smocket. These weren't like, out of the ordinary strategies, but this is a team that is on point.
Yeah, it absolutely worked in their favor. I mean, they lost just one map, and it was a situation where, it left them in a tough spot, but it also left them in a situation where it wasn't going to cost them too much because they could bring it back 6-0 against such a strong team like Millenium. That's absolutely what you want to do when you can pull it off, and they certainly have this time. And I hate to single anyone out, but Kanto was a bit of a nut.
To say the least, he is a fantastic player. Now, Renshiro being able to get the kill on Fabian definitely did help Millenium there in a potential retake. Unfortunately, it's been the same tune that's been played by Millenium ever since the start of Villa. It's just not able to close it out. And G2, if you make one mistake against them, you're going to lose. Yeah. They're not going to give you any quarter.
Yeah, and it's going to be a question of stamina. Can they keep up this level of performance into the second map? Because we do often see them drop a second map. They'll often win their first map, and then the second match will be the one that they lose. I mean, last time when they lost against Mocket on Villa, it was their second map. It just seems to be they get into a little bit of, they put a lot of energy in that initial one, they get into a little bit of slump with the second one, but they always bring it back. You heard Fabian talking about that in his interview as well, that reset that happens.
Yep.
So if Millenium are going to get a map, of course it needs to be this one, but I think it's also most likely to be this one.
Now, to remind you guys watching at home of how things would work if we do go to a map 3, because there is the potential here, as Clubhouse is map number 2, and Millenium have been fairly effective on here, especially cutting off rotations. Here we go. What's up, Danny? But something that you should keep in mind is that now that G2 won map 1 with 6 rounds, the only way to have things done in a way that would favor Millenium on map 3 to a start, like what starting position they go, attack, defense, etc., they need to take this second map 6-0, because how it's determined is the team that has won the most rounds in the first 2 maps gets to decide their starting side on map 3. So that is something that can very much sway things, as defense right now has a bit of an advantage in that map. But before we get to that, get ready for Clubhouses. Really, G2, absolute wonderful play. Goga, Jonas, everybody showing up, but Kantoraketti and Goga. Peace.
I would say it absolutely felt like a team effort, though. That was definitely a series of plays where you saw the comms, you saw even the late round pings. Those Evil Eyes, you can't underestimate how useful those are, because we saw so many times in those clutch situations at the end, those were helpful, but they also worked the other way. You saw them being used to try and help out whenever they could. Drones as well, they were having drones sitting covered. Smoke, great use of smoke in that last round, especially to cover that plant, because I think without that smoke, they wouldn't have been able to pull that off, because they were watching the site fairly well, and the flank probably would have worked out from the Vigil, but just the complete denial of information from that smoke, despite being able to see through with the Evil Eye cameras, he wasn't on them. He was busy watching angles, and that left him in a tough spot.
Yep, and both teams are no strangers to the big stages of Rainbow Six, and right now the Paris Major is definitely the biggest we have ever had. Remind you that Rio in November at Stade Jeunesse, literally the Olympic Stadium with over 10,000 Brazilian spectators mostly. It's going to be pretty insane, but here they have to survive through this Millenium, and there's a big possibility for them to go to Brazil, but here the possibilities to get to the semifinals are dwindling. That 6-0 weighs heavily on their morale, and again, this is a team where, you know, if it's Millenium, if it's Vitality, or any other team that doesn't have a ton of grand stage experience such as G2, kind of tend to fall. And Fabian was saying it as well in interviews that, you know, we have the morale advantage. We know how to reset after every single map, and that is something that plays into G2's advantage.
Well, luckily for the local French audience here, there's at least 2 French teams in it. So if Millenium don't manage to rather, go forward in this, we have Vitality still. They still could potentially bring a very good game and work their way towards the finals, but it is going to be, as you've seen from that map performance, a very, very difficult battle, because there's no way to get to finals without going through G2 first.
All right, we are starting, ladies and gentlemen, G2 Millenium, map 2. It's Clubhouse. Remind you, G2 demolishing Millenium on map number 1, 1-0, but we'll see what happens in our German Clubhouse. let's head into it.
Now, looking at the record here from the group stages so far, Millenium did not play Clubhouse, and when G2 played it, it was a clean 6-0 sweep against NIP, so they definitely have a lot to play on here. Now, coming out of Millenium, it's a little unsure what they're going to ban, but Dokkaebi has been pretty much a given for the most part. If you look back at the group stages, they've banned it almost every single time, so it is definitely something they don't want to deal with, and I appreciate that, but it is definitely meaning you're potentially wasting another ban, though, that you could use against a powerful operator like Lion, for example.
Yeah, it's G2 are not strangers to banning Lion all the time, so it is a very predictable move. Now, Millenium have, as you mentioned, banned the Dokkaebi quite a bit, but they have players that, especially Livin, for example, is able to push the operator to its limits, but they just want to have the ability to move around the map. As Clubhouse in 2018, yes, I know it's going to be complicated, but you can roam on this map. It has been completely overhauled with the map buff that we've seen a few months ago at the release of Operation Parabellum. If you guys have not tried it yet, then what are you waiting for? Because right now, this is one of the best maps available in our Pro League pool.
Well, it'll be interesting to see here because very few teams want to start down in Church the way Millenium are doing right now, because while it is still a very good bomb site, the blue hallway and stairs has made it a lot more difficult for teams to be able to hold that effectively. But with the Pulse of Falco, they will have some ability to at least see when people are starting to approach from that way, so they can pull people out if they need to or play around that generator. So I think they have utility there, but it'll be especially interesting to see how this glass is going to be used by Fabian, because that might be a setup for a different bomb site, and he might have to play it down in blue, much the way we've seen Evil Geniuses do in the past with Necrocs, for example, or could even run it down construction. They do have double hard breachers, though, so they have a lot of options here. All the hatches can be open, dirt can be open, church wall can be open. They can do whatever they want here with this utility.
And that's the thing that is out of the ordinary. Usually, at least one of the hard breachers is banned on Clubhouse, and usually it's Thermite. So in here is not the case, so why not bring the two? Clubhouse is definitely the map on top that gives you so much more opportunities and ways to play it by having two hard breachers instead of only one. And Hibana taking down the hatches, you also have the opportunity to use the Thermite to open up church wall if you want to push in from there. But a big part of the attack nowadays is that blue staircase. Holding the rotations from the back, that's usually something the Dokkaebi would do, but the Glass, instead of pushing in directly from Oil Pit, can definitely be setting up just there where he can find an angle even all the way into the back of Church.
Absolutely, that if they leave that wall soft, which you're going to leave part of it soft, or a rotation hole, opens up plenty of opportunities for Glass to just open up a ton of the wall, because not just angles, but the fact that he can do so much wall destruction. But Falco actually going to pull out a bit of a surprise. Instead of Pulse, which he is known to play very good Pulse, he's going to bring out Capcan. Now that is a good first round attempt here. We'll see if that has any real impact. But and then Kanto switching to Sledge. We know he's a very good Sledge there, so that is not a huge surprise.
Definitely would work out well for him. Now this setup, the Sledge is a very good op to use no matter what, because what a lot of them will do is get to the trading office. Logistics office in the top floor, open up the hatch, and from there start playing and clearing out your opponents. Now, bedroom, cache, construction, these are three rooms that will get used a lot of times by the defense. It seems like Falco is mostly focusing on the strip, on Junkyard. I wonder why he's sending up his EDVs on this side.
He definitely wants to give them some position they can roam from here. And that is really important. Just barely going to get there. We're going to catch the drone. Might have identified him in time, but if it doesn't scan him, of course, it's not necessarily going to show him as the operator on the top of them. Of course, you guys can all see them in the audience here, but the other team cannot see which operators are without scanning them, which was a change made a little while ago.
This is a very interesting way of defending it. Let's defend the lower floor by just holding the top. Now, this is something that we say for almost every single site. However, this is rarely actually used on Clubhouse. And there you go. Rise capitalizes on the first one. Fabian will go down as the smoke just finds the angle. G2 are forcing themselves by construction. Unfortunately for them, Millenium have just come back. I'm not sure if the drones from G2 have relayed enough information as Renshiro gets one more. Rise with a third one, leave it for one, and it's all up to Pengu. He gets one at Renshiro, peeks from the window in the staircase. Gets a lot of damage on the Hibana, but G2 definitely falling apart in this round. down as they were not expecting the hold from Millenium. And now the hold gets a lot clearer, and the last one will come in from the captain. And that's Falco to get the last one. Now, this I can certainly understand. We were asking at the start of the round, why are EDDs being set on the other side of the map? This is why, because Millenium wanted to play a lot more aggressive for peaks. They wanted to play a lot more around the your P1, basically, just on the ground floor. They did not want to worry about the opposite side of the map where their defense can fall apart. They just set up everything around the bar and the stairs.
Oddly enough, that isn't even where they had to do most of the defending. It was that dirt tunnel push that was pretty much a suicide push. I mean, I can't imagine we're going to see that again from G2, because that was a let's try that out this round. Doesn't work, probably not going to do it again.
This is what I can tell from this, is that G2 droned in and saw the captain, they saw the setups that were being done around the bar, and they're like, okay, they're going to try to hold it from above. Let's just rush construction. Unfortunately, it was a bait and switch.
I feel like if Fabian had been able to land a shot though and get those initial kills, it might have worked. They might have been able to get enough power there because they would have lowered the amount of people playing down there. Might have been able to make the start of a foot right there work, especially if they could kill one of the smoke, then they wouldn't have been smoke to deny the actual tunnel itself. But unfortunately, missed shots there lead to a death, and then everything pretty much fell apart from there. But we're going to be going to a different bomb site now. We're going to be playing a gym bed more than where of course they are going to be defending upstairs as well. Rome is going to matter on the site. Surprised that see Cash not coming for this, but this is one that has a lot of interesting ideas for defenses. This is one of them, of course, is the alibi from 11. He's going to be sitting there looking like it's a peak angle, but I mean, they're very likely to shoot it. You really cannot risk the chance that that's an actual person. This is though the glass just opening up that castle barricade, and that's an important angle. So you can understand why they it's exactly why they castle barricade that. Unfortunately for Renshiro, his timing not on board, takes a lot of damage. Unfortunately for Fabian, though, not enough to finish the job.
Yeah, I mean, we'll remind you, since we did mention alibi, that when Glass looks into an alibi Prisma, we can see if it's a Prisma or not. If it's bright yellow, that's an actual bomb. Not, you don't shoot at it. Habana being used to open up the side from the balcony. And can come in. Jonas will have to fall back as he was trapped for just a bit by shooting one of those alibi Prismas. And Pengu will have to sit on the ventilation here just to watch any peaks from the server.
Watching angles is definitely going to be an important part of the rest of this attack. The last thing you want to get is flanked from that cash window, and rather than take control of the cash, oh, there we go, an unfortunate shot right on to the alibi hologram is going to leave him marked, so he's ready for a jump out. None coming just yet, but he does have a claymore he can place. However, the jump out comes instead from the garage, and a very long rotate coming out.
Yeah, Falco trying to come in from the side, but Renshiro will find it on Jonas to take out the IQ, playing all on her own. And unfortunately, that's not a window that you can get information against if you are G2 from the ventilation. Now, Goga still has that diffuser in hand, as well as the thermite on the squad. Rise in the meantime, holding off the secret cache. Goga comes into the site, finds the angle on Renshiro. Unfortunately, the Valkyrie was too low on health to deal with Goga. Tagged down to 50 health. Goga's already on the site, and he's in the bathroom, and he finds it. Falco's down! And that's the castle eliminated. 3 now alive for Millenium. The advantage for G2 as Rise will turn around. He flies ahead of Goga. Spots the second in the gym. Fabian moves in slowly, chucks in his second gas grenade. From the backhand to Raketti, finishing off the Jaeger finally. There's one in construction as Pengu finds the time to come into the gym and go from plan. This is one of the most secure positions to begin, but Livin takes him out from the back. Fabian with the refract. Livin from behind. Pengu's down. And it's a 1v1. The IGLs of both teams in a head-to-head fight with the diffuser not being set just yet. Fabian realizing his position will get it in, but Livin clutches it! Fabian going down, and it's Millenium. Get it all done, and finally, Millenium have found their stride, and the second round is up on the board.
What a reversal of last map. Millenium seeming to come from strength to strength now. Of course, that was a much rougher round than the first one, where they seemed to just catch G2 completely off guard. This time around, it seemed a much better take from G2. They had a solid strat. They were using the glass to come from different angles. He was covering that rotate by the castle barricade that he opened on the stairwell, but he wasn't covering it when he needed to, when that alibi made that rotation from Levitt to get the kill from behind on Jim. It's just a lack of manpower that they had towards the end, thanks to that spawn peak, for example, from Manchiro. Well, that spawn peak, but a window peak, rather. Absolutely turning it around. They just managed to take them down one at a time and then use that man advantage. But good smoke used by G2. Unfortunately, the fact they weren't able to get that plant down the first time, I think left them in a tougher spot. Fabian at least able to get it down in the end, but it was a little too predictable where he was going to be coming from at that point. Unfortunately, just not enough hit shots. I feel like he's not taking full advantage of the fire rate. Maybe it's just the recoil being a little too hard to control with such high fire rate on glass. So it is, I mean, it's something that he doesn't usually play a ton of. We usually see Eunice on that. Maybe it's just lack of practice in hitting those shots because he's usually able to hit one shot. It just never seems he's able to hit the follow-up shots after that to finish the job. But either way, great job by Millenium. They've been playing very effectively on what they're doing in terms of managing to roam around the map very effectively. Their fluidity and moving around is just not being capitalized on by G2. They're not surrounding the players. They're more just coming from one angle, like they're focused on the gym there, and then tended to backfire.
Falco going for a very similar setup as we had before. As Millenium this time, however, won't be playing on the choke because they had already won that. We'll go for the bar and not for cash, which is they said we've seen a ton more of.
They're definitely going for being unpredictable and doing unconventional stuff. Starting on Church was already unconventional, playing Gym Deck. Even more unconventional, and then going to the bar. Well, they managed to top it every time with more unconventionalness. However, that's been working very well with G2, so I would say keep it up for Millenium. This has definitely been catching them off guard. They seem to have very good strats. They had a good attack strat for Jim for the most part, but they just fell apart on too many of those gunfights and lack of control of those roamers. So because of that, they're going to have to do a good job on this site as well. Falco, of course, is going to slow them down, similar to how he did last time with that cap cam, which is going to be a nice surprise. But interestingly, Kanto actually going to come from the basement with Pengu droning him in. This is definitely a nice, different way of attacking. It's usually you come from more of a top-down attack.
Not enough reinforcements, I guess, that were set up. Maybe Gogo was able to open up. Tunnel, Kanto Raketti! Oh my god! Through the wall. Renshiro goes down. No more ACOG, but Hicks will refrag Jonas taken down. It's Falco though from above on the stairs to shut down Kanto Raketti, a big part of the frag power of G2. The advantage is still for Millenium. G2 now holding the outside. They're expecting things from their opponents. Pengu will find the head. There you go. Falco at least gets body shotted down to the floor, and it ties it up 3-3.
So far, I feel like a big part of this is the intel for the attacker seems to be a bit shallower on both maps. Defenders then at a clear advantage in terms of how they're able to play with all the intel they have. Both teams absolutely using Maestro as well as Valkyrie and any other ways they can get intel they're using to their advantage and managing to at least refrag when someone manages to do a surprise attack like Kanto.
Interestingly, it's Hicks running the hollow on the set main and not your standard ACOG.
And on one of the longer bomb sites as well. Interesting choice. But Goga at least going to open up the sightline as well.
He's going to set up a play more from behind him. As a reminder, you can't plant in the pool now. Changes in this site. You have to come in. There is a hatch upstairs in Gym that you can still use, but it doesn't allow you to play all the way from the roof anymore. Goga will need to put himself right at the edge to go for a plant, and Livin will get one. Smoke is going to get put down for Goga as he goes in for the plant right on the stairs. Fabian with extra smoke just to make sure they can find it here. There's two players trying to peek against Goga as the smoke is dissipating. Falco, or Fabian, will require Smokes to his advantage. Goga will get one. There's the second one down on the floor. Right behind us gets the information. Goga with one more. That's 3 for him as Livin last alive in the round for Millenium. G2 looking to get this one done. C4 thrown to the side as Fabian will spot the back of the Valkyrie. Livin moving into the bar. Now the wall is already opened by Goga. So this sideline is definitely the advantage of G2 and Goga with the 4K at this round. And there you go, support players. No matter what, you got the skill that Mr. Danny has. You can definitely put yourself up on the board and at the same time get a plant and open up the walls. This is why Goga now, especially in Season 8 of Pro League and coming into the Major, is one of the top players in Europe.
Definitely fantastic plays that round. Good use of the smoke. Good use of the call out on the plant spot as well. You saw the ping come out for Goga to know exactly where to plant because they were, I would assume, improvising just a bit. Bar, again, is not the most conventional site to be attacking, so they just played with what they could. And
Oh my God.
some great plays just from everyone at Kanto. Whew.
How is he so good? I'm sure Wilkie's crying in the back. Love to have Kanto back on the team, right?
Yeah. Fabian finally changing it up over to the Jackal from the Glass. That should be an interesting surprise, as of course that will be something to counter the roam play. Perfect strategy for this side, I think, because this is where they were allowed to roam, and that's something we talked about a lot during Pro League as well as during some of the group stages, is how teams have not been really roaming on this site. But we saw that last time as I mentioned, they were absolutely playing upstairs. Now they're going to have to counter that, depending on how Fabian gets in there, of course, because he could absolutely stick his face right into some bullets looking for those footprints.
And of course, there's no clock, but G2 mentioned bringing Fabian on the Jackal, and that hallway is still not safe. It's not safe. Same for the kitchen, as the IQ-12 can just burst through, and it doesn't give you full floor destructibility like a buck would, but it gives you more ammo, and it also gives you the opportunity to open up specific holes to find angles on positions that defenders usually would play in, especially in the back line.
And important difference is, although it doesn't give you frag grenades, you've seen how effective they use smokes. And the fact that shooting smokes on it, I think, is still, he switched from one operator with smokes to another, so they're definitely going to be able to take advantage of that, because that has allowed them to plant multiple times now. So it is going to be up to Maestro, for example, with those evil eyes, but that one's not going to see through any smoke, because obviously you can't plant next to that generator. But we'll see if Fabian's able to live long enough to make that happen.
However, that Maestro camera does see all the way through the door and into the armory, even a bit of an angle on the construction entryway. So just hits the side. You can move it slightly, so it gives you a bit of an angle on the back. Second Maestro, thank you very much, Marcio. What a great observer we have. You also see the second one that is set all the way in the back of the armory. That gives you full line of sight in the armory, but also all the way through the hallway to the entrance.
Good use of even saving those drones, making sure that they weren't able to get killed, because you know how much they actually are using those drones. Again, we were seeing last round as well, late round pings coming out from those drones. They're doing a very good job on the drone game, on their drone economy, not sacrificing their drones unnecessarily, and it paid off, I'd say, in spades for them last time, because seeing or getting an idea on where those two last defenders were really made a difference. They are making different footprints, as well as using the idea, like you were saying, similar to Bucks, open up those important holes, and they try and play his aggressive self on act here. But the Jaeger of Rise is at least keeping him back just a little bit, but of course that does leave Rise as well kind of trapped.
Trying to contest still against Moto, as right now it's just Millenium trying to find their stride in this round. Can't really deal with Kanto early on, as of course there are drones in front of him, so he's not peeking for no reason. He knows what's happening. He wants to keep Millenium on their toes as the rest of his team goes through the checklist part by part to allow them to enter the site.
He's burning up a lot of ammo, but he's absolutely controlling them. That's the important thing here. Hicks playing the usual smoke in dirt. This is the way you have to defend the site, especially with the shotgun. But it is being pressured again. This was a big mistake for them last time, is pushing this dirt tunnel. But this is going to keep them busy. They're pretty much keeping them busy on all sides. Even that wall stop, but up back there. Hicks already gets one. Pengu pushing it unnecessarily here.
Yeah, that's the Habana loss. This Kanto still holding off. Oh, this is one of my favorite types of pushes. The wall's already been opened. Kanto holds it down. He finds the headshot. Always reinforce the hallway wall. Unfortunately, this time it won't be the case. Fabian, the refrag as Rise will get one more to make it 3-2. Advantage for Millenium. Up to Kanto now to hold the angle for Goga. As yet one more plant. Spanish player will come in. Millenium downs one, takes down Goga. One more for Rise, and here we go. Millenium in the advantage to put the third round on the board. We'll see if they can get a fourth here in the first half of our map. They've gone through all of these sites and only lost one. And you know, we don't expect teams to be winning bar, because it's a very complicated site to take hold of as a defender. But still, they had a valiant effort on that as well.
I'd like to see if they go cash for their fifth bomb site just to change things up a little bit. However, going church there was definitely a good idea again, because it just seems like G2 are not necessarily super comfortable on attacking that at the moment. They had some great ideas there, but they were not able to execute again on Dirt Tunnel, throwing a bit too much into that, and that was, of course, an important player. And their other hard breacher that could have potentially opened up some of their angles. I like that Kanto was able to execute on opening up the wall that you mentioned. Should have been reinforced, and usually is for exactly that reason, because he's able to rush in for a nice kill. Bar again. This is going to be interesting.
At least you
Falco
can
G2.
hear this capacity crowd here, Devin.
They're excited for Millenium to be in the lead for once here.
We'll see if Millenium can carry through the wave of supporters here in Paris. Maybe this is what they need. We talked about the Latin American scene when we were in Brazil and how that would have been the possibility for them to win. Unfortunately for NIP back then, ENCE was the team to stop them. But here, Millenium and Vitality later on definitely have a huge crowd to support them in Paris. They're playing off of it. Morale game is definitely a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, where at least we saw one round comeback, but it was quickly shut down again the next round by Millenium. So that is definitely that fire that's going to be going through the blood right now. But of course, this being the last defensive round means they're going to have to switch around and see if they can do an effective attack here. But defending bar is definitely not easy.
Now, they have not played Cash Room once.
No.
Zero. Nada. Zilch. This is
very much out of the ordinary. I imagine we'll see G2 play it, most likely.
We'll see if Millenium can just learn from their mistakes from a few rounds ago where they lost to G2 on this very site. It's not finding a peak early on here of the Baylor as it continues opening up goal. Now, you don't want to seal yourself into the strip, but at the same time, you don't want to reinforce things in a way where the attackers can just open up the basketball. Advantage, Kanto Raketti. A lot of damage done, but not enough to down or take out Falco, who is somehow still.
Nice angle there from Pangu right through the boxes. This is just angle play after angle play from G2, absolutely destroying them without even having to get in the building just yet.
When you see the communication translated into these plays, Kanto Raketti holding off from the kennel stairs, just looks on down and makes sure nobody's speaking his teammate Pangu. No, because there is a dunk, we'll be able to get Falco back up to speed here. HP-wise, unfortunately, yet can't bring Rise back from the dead.
I like the adaptation here this time rather than being predictable and going for the club side again, which of course they're going to have defenses against, right? Falco's going to be sitting up all those cap can traps, trying to hold that club. They go around for this side, but Falco uses his gun just fine on Kanto to get the revenge for that earlier bathroom shot.
All right, Livin moving down from the basement, though. Will try to play against his opponents with the rotation. And Jonas. Q, that's the captain finally eliminated. Not enough HP being set from Renshiro. Livin moving in from the central hallway. Try to find information on his opponents. As right now, the Maestro has already set up an evil eye in the front of the bar, looking all the way down this one long hallway. Captain sprays through the back, but no, Fabian is ready for him. They're expecting the rotation from the Vigil. On his own now is Higgs. The Fuser should get planted. They'll try to take down the player in the back and an instant kill on the evil eye. G2 not wasting any time as Pangu finds the last one at the Habana. That is the first half. Still going the way of Millenium, but G2 not failing to at least put two up on the board to ease their way in on the defensive side. And with 3 rounds, I don't think that is enough on the defensive side, especially with these operator bans that do favor the attackers. Not a single hard breacher is banned, at least.
Yeah, we'll see if that factors into the way that G2 are going to play this, but we have seen defenses work pretty well here on this on this map, as well as on Villa. As I said earlier, very defensive-sided seeming. Living going to bring that Jackal, though, to help a little bit. Pangu actually going to bring, I think, the first mute of this map. No double hard breachers, though, coming out from Millenium. And I think double hard breachers was a good thing coming out from G2. But we are going to see Jim Bedroom actually as the first site here for them. They're going to 6th pick. Surprisingly, okay, they're going to go off of Bandit and instead rely on the mute. So that is an interesting choice because we have seen some great Bandit tricking on some of these walls, but it is a little tougher, I'd say, on the hot tub side versus the cash wall. So I could definitely understand the mentality behind that, as they are likely to open it. But they're playing without a Habana, which means the impact matrix here is going to be very effective. And that was, I think, a bit of the wrong choice for Millenium to not have those double hard breachers, because you saw how effectively G2 used that Habana on that wall.
And the way they used them is that they used the first set of Exkyros low on the floor, so they can find an angle on anybody that's chucking the impacts to get the kill on them. And once that spot is secured, then they open up extra positions for them to have an extra angle on the hall, and also a way for them to enter the hallway directly and contest via the bathroom or the hallway. And the bathroom wall is usually only half reinforced. The second side is completely open, so you can rotate from one side to the other. And here, you remember on Villa when I was mentioning this sort of play, you might finally see this with the impact grenades on One thing they did bring that was smart was Renshiro on the factory, because that'll take care of that mute jammer at least very quickly without them having to try and fight it through the window. But the fact that they can't follow up with any way to deny the impact nades does mean that if they are able to do that, I imagine Goga might be the one to be running those impact nades, although we did see it as well on Fabian if he's going to bring those on smoke. But that is very easy for him to deny those in a way that he's not vulnerable to any attack, assuming they're not somehow unavailable. So I imagine most of the push here, as Buck is opening right now, going to come from the cache side. All right, he'll try to come into the servers as there you go. Mute jammer will get taken down. Slow down the reload from Millenium. You're not really willing to spend too many of your EMPs, especially when you're expecting to have more mute equipment further down around construction, around cache, and also slow you down if you mismanage.
Yeah, definitely going to be a factor here. Like I said, also, of course, he needs to maybe get on top of those impact nades, but Pangu is very important controlling this room here. As long as he can stay alive for a while, he's really going to deny a lot of their attack, but unfortunately, not going to happen.
Doesn't take it down himself, but unfortunately for him, was not able to check the C4 out correctly, as you still have to think about the momentum-based movement, especially when it comes to chucking equipment to the other side. It is a 1-1 trade, though, as the mute was exchanged to the Buck of Millenium. Grenades have been lost, as Livin in the meantime takes a lot of damage. Jonas with the peek, but it's Hicks that's ready for him. The Thermite survives, but getting an extra kill as well. Millenium at the helm.
Minute 10 left. There's plenty of time because they have the attack advantage. They just need to be able to start to get through this area here. And unfortunately, it is a very tough one to try and go through that door into the actual bedroom. But Fabian going to make it that much harder. Is unfortunately Livin was an important part of that, and maybe he had some nades left.
Now the roaming smoke you saw in the back by Adam's spot. He moves downstairs and tries to rotate through back up the main stairs, where he knows that his teammates are home. Only has to worry about Millenium's move from construction, but Blue Mine here will just distract Renfield for a second. Kenta Ricchetti in the meantime, where no information can be gathered by Millenium. Hit the 30-second mark on the round. Kenta Ricchetti with the engagement on the window, but is getting pinched in by the opposite window as well, inside of the bedroom. One final gas canister left here for Fabian, as he still finds the angle onto Renshiro. Now he's down on the floor, chucks in the last one, but Rise is able to take him out before he can trigger it. Kenta Ricchetti with a C4 in hand. He's trying to contest from the side. Goga will get one though. Spawns the second. Moving in from the window. Will drop right into the site as Rise somehow is alive, but not for long. Kenta Ricchetti finishes up the round now. G2 win their first round on defense.
One of the most back and forth rounds we've seen. It really could have gone either way. Just unfortunately, the lack of ability to push from multiple sides there, that's the problem. That doorway that you saw him coming in from, Fabian could deny time and time again from multiple angles. The advantage they did have was at least keeping Kanto a little bit back out of the gym itself. But because they weren't able to get the hot tub wall open, they had no way to contest that from multiple angles outside of the windows. And that's really the big problem. That's why that hot tub wall is so important. Their lack of ability to open it is what cost them that round.
Yep, and their reliance on the Thermite does not work efficiently on this. I don't think they were expecting Bedroom to be the first site, and maybe that's the thing that hit them in the back, but that's why you bring both hard breachers anyways, because they would have been available. It's not like Habana is any slouch of a fragger.
Exactly.
That is for sure. Now, for a lot of people that don't know this, both of these teams are big scrim partners. You know what a scrim is? It's a practice game. You play practice games against a lot of people in your region and sometimes from others, and these two teams are long-time practice partners within the EU Pro League.
Yeah, they definitely know how to read each other really well, which is why I feel like we're seeing them try and pick sites in a different way to specifically throw them off as much as possible. So far, it's worked for both teams for the most part. You saw 3 rounds won on defense by Millenium with their off picks, except for Bar, which just did not work out at all. And then, of course, G2 winning their first defense already as well. They are going to go to cash, though, which is, as I said, very likely to see from G2. They're not going to shy away from it as much. But the question is, will they be able to open this wall? Now, of course, there's not the impact nade trick that he done on the important cash room wall or the CCTV wall. However, of course, they have a bandit. Eunice, very capable of bandit tricking that wall. And that's going to be a big thing here is, can Renshiro time those stats just right? Can he try and deny that bandit tricking? Because it's going to come down to the cash room window as a way to contest that, if they can get some pressure going from that. But that's very, very predictable. You can come out from some peek outs from bedroom, you can make some run outs from garage. There's plenty of ways to counter it, so this is going to be the real big play right here. Is if this works out, they can wait. If they can't, same issue as last round.
And Millenium have to worry about peaks from Quarterfinals. We've seen it when G2 played against Team Secret. The analysis desk, I believe it was Zeronic that mentioned this. Right after Team Secret were able to beat their opponents of G2 at LAN during that Valencia, it was still G2 that won in the next week's Pro League day, and it was on this map because of Quarterfinals' calculated aggression. Now, there are mute jammers plus bandit batteries. This is something European teams love to use because here you can use the mute jammers to slow down your opponents whilst your bandit is relocating to take down any utility from the attackers, especially if it's explosives to deal with reinforced walls. And in this case, it's Hicks that has the only bit of hard breach possible for Millenium. Could get easily taken down though if mistake, but no, this time it will function out as Hicks will open up the wall.
Unfortunately, that was a mistake by Goga. You saw him on the other side of that wall, probably had impact nades left. He could have actually denied that with an impact nade, but just didn't make the right call at the right time. Falco does so. Falcon punches Goga to the other side of the map here. And that's now the Legion removed from play. You don't get the impact, you don't get nothing. Fabian, though, with the refrag from side, though. Still rotating, and he can't go back up from the blue stairs into the stock. Play from there with the teammates on the stairs. Jonas, of course, still one of the few people in Pro League that uses those iron sights on the NP7 as, you know, very, very clear for a defender that usually likes to switch in from one opponent to the other. Does rely on information from his teammates. Here is Rise, is still in the construction. I'll run into a goo mine that was set previously by Goga. Hicks is low on health, but there's 30 seconds left on the clock. They've been watching for potential peeks in from the outside. Livin, though, in the meantime, will get taken down. Pengu will follow it up with the second one. Jonas with the peek, as all alive is Renshiro on the sub-roof. Has EMPs in hand with 15 seconds left on the clock, and holding one angle won't save you this time. Millenium using the time to talk this whole round out and try to fix it for the next one. As Renshiro gets taken down. G2 dominant in this round. Well, I gotta commend Fabian for that roaming smoke. It's always something that we find a bit of an oddity, but it was so effective that round. He got 2 great kills out of it, not to mention was able to stay alive that whole time. That is the big trick, right? Of course, because you want him alive at the end to deny. You saw him denying in a previous round on Jim, bedroom. He still was able to just deny with his bullets instead, even with the limited ammo, of course, that you get in that SMG-11. So fantastic play on his part. A great attempt by Millenium. I do feel like, though, that picking up Falco was the right move for this team, and I hope they stick with him. He's been a very effective teammate for them.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we don't know how the chemistry's working inside, as, well, they are struggling a bit, but this is against G2. This is not a low-C team that's like, oh, well, you know, they're really having problems here. Chemistry's off. I think Falco's been a good pickup, and I just wanted to point that out because I hope he sticks around because he's doing quite well, and Yogurts may have a permanent place on the bench.
Well, there's a reason why Falco used to play with this exact same squad. And when KS still played with the lineup, he would be interchanged for Falco depending on the map, depending on the series and the team that they're playing against. We did have a tactical pause, of course, from Millenium, as they have used up their only one available for this map. They need to fix their mistakes ASAP, as right now If this round is won by G2, they will put themselves on map and match point. And so far in the series, only 3 rounds in total have been taken by Millenium in these 2 maps, with 10 on the opposite side for G2. So much has been taken away from G2 in map 1 that we were afraid that it will put Millenium down.
Well, here's an interesting 6th pick coming out from Falco. He has been playing a lot of very aggressive, very good blitz play during the group stages, to the point where blitz was getting banned against him. So that is definitely going to be a factor here. They're going to have to find a way to deny him as much as possible. Though they have a few operators that can do that. They have the Blue Mines to come out from Goga. They have the Smoke to come out from Fabian. They have C4 from Pango and Munis. They also have the Grisbot Mines from Kento. So every single operator on the defense has something to counter that blitz play. So Falco's going to have to play very smart, going to have to play with drones, going to have to play with his team and aggression. But thankfully, for this bomb site, they brought double hard breachers for Millenium. So they made the right choice this time. And Renshiro, a very good Twitch, is going to be playing that as well. So they might be able to get some utility going there. But unfortunately for them, there's not going to be a lot you're going to get with the shock drone that's going to help. There's not Evil Eyes, there's not mirror windows. Pretty much going to just get out cameras for the most part, do some droning, and maybe a glue mine or 2.
Heading out to defuse a bomb.
Yep. There is something about Falco playing blitz. We saw in the group stage the amount of damage that he's able to do. This is a man that comes into his own with our German operator. Falco just comes in from the side of via parking, walks all the way through in order to be going in through the main doorway. He's already got Rise to help run in the back as Millenium have spots. One player from G2 and is playing in the back of stock. He can, of course, rotate back down by using those blue stairs.
This is all good. I feel like this round for Millenium is going to be about controlling aggression, funneling and channeling the aggression of Falco and Rise right on into the right players with the intel. You saw Pink's coming out earlier, so the rest of the team supporting that to an extent with them is going to make a difference. But Kanto pushes aggressively himself. He does have some backup, though, from Junis, assuming he doesn't shoot him in the head.
Now, Falco has already put a bullet into Kanto Raketti, but not enough to clean him up. Falco has to fall back and use his teammate as support from the window. Resets. He wants to keep G2 on their toes in the generator room. As Livin, in the meantime, going through the checklist of Havana, open up the hatches, make sure that you have line of sight. Jonas just waiting for a potential move from Millenium here to chuck a C4 into them from that bar hatch. So far, nothing yet. He's playing inside of the arsenal now. His Rise rotates around the oil pit, trying to, as you mentioned, support their blitz in their endeavor. Jonas preparing the C4, and it's just going to stick there, I guess.
Smartly done, though, because he knows there's someone nearby. He's just waiting for that movement that he's expecting. Unfortunately for him, too little too late. And a shock drone might have even tased him as well in the process.
No, both mines being thrown in from Rise. His first one was a mistake, second one was not. Barbed wire getting taken out. As G2 have maneuvered onto the site. In the meantime, Falco has repositioned to push in from construction, as it's going to be more of a church stake here. That's why you get 2 hard breachers to ease your way into the site. Extending up in Moto. Waiting for the position, but that can be blown up. They chuck up an impact, and there you go. That is the perfect example. Kanto Raketti will find the kill on Livin. Second one from Fabian, holding in the construction tunnel. Falco's on the floor. Rise trying to find what's inside of Church. He gets a quick peek onto Goga. He'll be the one to come up in that fight. Rise will find the second one. Kanto Raketti going down. 3v3 as Fabian is down on the floor. Advantage for Millenium. Goo Mine being set. Already doing damage. Renshiro with the 1, but can't clean up Fabian. 2v2 as Fabian, of course, back up on his feet. Rise to get 1. It's a 1v2 and Rise again! RG15 in hand, and the French team will tie it at 4-4. What beautiful bits of play from Millenium, and Rise, as his name indicates, never fails to rise to the occasion.
That's what I was saying about early in that round, channeling the aggression from Falco and Rise. Unfortunately, Falco had chosen a different, unfortunately, much harder route through those smoke. He did play it very well, though, in denying a lot of attention on the other side. The impact nade, of course, managing to slow things down a little bit, but the fact that they had so much focused on trying to stop the blitz, you had 2 men in dirt tunnel trying to focus on that, that did, I'd say, an effective job at least of distracting them so Rise could do his thing. Also, peeking on Zofia, never a good idea because it just seems like the speed at which you get those shots out tends to win, and the damage from that gun is brutal. The speed of the fire rate as well. Just don't peek it unless you have some kind of advantage. That was definitely a mistake, but some good plays, I think, still from G2. However, I could see this coming back. I could see this going 5 points here to Millenium, and then a tie to overtime. Totally within the realm of possibility.
All right, Thatcher will be the 6th pick for Renshiro here, as we'll see him play the op again. Where do G2 go? Well, they're going to go back to the bedroom and the gym, as they have before. 13 frags for Rise. He is literally putting the team on his back.
Yeah, it has definitely been a great match for him, so it's not a surprise to see him carry that last round with a great clutch. We'll see if he can do the same this round, though. He's going to be running the same operator. Falco not even bothering to hide the blitz this time, which is good. It's always kind of weird to see them continue to try and hide something that is going to be obvious. However, again, the important change, double heart breachers this time. A mistake that they made last time when they attacked this the first round that cost them the round. Having that Habana means they can open up the bottom of the wall. As you said, Edge all laid out last time about how you go through that process can make it very easy to continue with that. Not to mention that you've got Hicks to potentially open up the hot tub site if they want to get that open as well, because it is reinforced.
Now Falco has a few options here. Either goes up through servers and aids his teammates in pushing through Cash, or he goes around and pushes from the stairs. But this is a perfect ambush that's being laid by G2 as a Nitro Cell from Jonas can get used with in tandem, in combination with the Mute in the opposite room. And there you go. Jonas will find the kill. Jonas turns around onto Rise, and he gets the kill. Pengu with one more. G2's ambush works out perfectly. Millenium here with 2 players left alive within just the first few seconds of the round. As Livin is able to spray in and take down Pengu, but is it enough? He gets another one onto Kanta Raketti. So at least 2 down. Still unsure of Jonas's position. Should have rotated away, and yes, indeed, Jonas is playing from downstairs. Got to push up from the main stairs and rendezvous back with his teammates. He's got a lot of time to potentially go for a reset.
The upside for the defenders, of course, is not only is there 3 of them to have one potentially play on site, but they can also roam around because so little attackers left means so little coverage as well of most of the map. They're going to have very little map control, if any, because they're not going to be even playing together most of the time. They're going to be spread out, trying to take what they can from angles mostly outside. That gives that roaming smoke of Fabian a lot of power here, combined with Eunice to be able to call out where they're pushing from. I think this could be a big problem for Millenium.
Now Jonas has been reset, so you see him on 50% health. He's going to be playing from the logistics office for now. He can rotate down, he can chuck a C4 wherever is needed. Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser. A bit. Having a man advantage as the defense on bedroom gym is definitely huge, and you never really want to slip into that very slippery slope if you're on the attacking side.
Well, we'll see if they can manage to get another pick or two. If they could get a pick on Eunice, that will start things off big, especially if they can follow that up with Fabian and leave it down to Goga. Still, though, they at least have full health of both attackers. And there's Renshiro with a kill on the all-important smoke of Fabian.
And that is one in the back. Already thrown into gas canisters, and at least the 3rd one will not get used. Unfortunately, the hallway cannot either get used by Millenium. If he had that, the player would have been a huge boon for them, but Livin will have to come into the gym and alert his teammates of his position. Goga, though, is in the bathroom. Does he know that Habana is right on the side? He'll try to spray into Renshiro as to get the kill from here. Livin, though, with the refract. 2 seconds left on the clock. Does he find the lesion? There's not enough time, and Livin! Time management again from Millenium, biting them in the back. G2 will put the round on the board, but what a close round between these 2 teams.
Yeah.
Unfortunate here for Millenium, as this is map and match point.
Still potential for overtime here. Still could happen because they're at least at 4. They have 1 chance.
Yeah, and only 1. This might be a quick one, though, as of course G2 continue on the defensive side. And how this round starting off, just we explained it. The instant we saw 3 players, especially the Pulse playing in the garage, It's an ambush. They want to neutralize the blitz. And this time, I really do hope that Millenium don't fall into the same trap. As in 6th pick, we won't see a switch to the blitz, and I completely agree with that. Yeah, stop forcing yourself into that pick. But we will see Cash and CCTV being picked up by G2 with yet again the Bandit and the Mute combo. And Legion at the impasse. Of course, you see the local Parisian crowd that is cheering for Millenium. They want their team to tie it up and go into overtime. As a reminder, you, overtime is best of 3 here in our quarterfinals and semifinals. In our grand final, however, it is a best of 5 series with unlimited overtime.
So, of course, the best circumstance here for Millenium is that they get this round and then get defense first on the overtime, because of course it is a coin flip, which means it can be a tough situation if you happen to get the wrong side, if it seems very one-sided. In this case, it tends to a little bit. Defenses seem to have a strong advantage here. So far, both teams have struggled on one particular side. We saw Barbie struggle for Millenium and Church the struggle for G2, so they both know their weaknesses, both not going to play those sides to get on overtime.
These holes that are being pre-opened by Pengu, just, you know, just able to open small holes, and not only 1 or 2, which is what a lot of people would do. Make sure you open up 6, 7, as many as you can. Keep your opponents guessing on when you're going to be, or where you're going to be peaking.
I feel like those were like an old meta, and then they really come back this last season.
Yep, we've seen one of the players that does this quite a bit for Team Secret. Beyond that, I love to play stuff in that way. In the meantime, though, Livin will try to Habana this wall, and there you go. That's the bandit trick. 2x being used up as Jonas is able to juggle things out. Livin, in the meantime, coming on. Now, a great way of securing the garage, so in the meantime, is to use the Habana on the opposite side and open up the top of the garage wall, but there you go. Oh no, Goga cannot find the angle with the impact grenade on the exothermic charge. That'll be the wall opened up for Millenium.
It did help them a bit last time. They ultimately couldn't win all the fights they needed to, but this is still a good advantage for them when they could not get the open wall, or the big wall outside open.
Pengu still playing back by the stairs, is not going to throw down just yet. Goga will fall to Falco. The entry for Millenium here. Get closer and closer to an overtime on this second map. Something they really do require here to stay alive in the series. To a third map. 2 teams again that are big scrim partners. Falco continuing with the buckle. There's a minute left on the clock. A lot of time for Technical Ops and Millenium to set up before a push. They gather information in the meantime.
A lot of free fire kind of giving away a lot of positions as well, but all of them trying to cover themselves very smartly. Falco's the one that's really removing a lot of that cover. Someone needs to do something about it at some point here.
Millenium are preparing for their push. We're to see Pengu setting up the back. Livin, though, gets one more with Kenta Ricchetti on the refrag on Renshiro. He takes down the Thatcher, but the EMPs are not the most important thing for G2 to worry about. I'll have to worry about the rifles of Millenium with 22 seconds on the clock. They'll be trailing into defensive side. Hicks with 1. Kenta Ricchetti with a trade-off against Livin. Kenta Ricchetti finds it onto Rise as it goes down in a 2v2. Falco though with the refrag, all up to the star player of Kenta Ricchetti. He finds the headshot. Falco's on the floor. Kenta Ricchetti playing from the eastern stairs. Does have the rotation holes. His advantage and not enough time. G2 will take the round and secure the second map